I'm getting to transport 4 spacecraft across the country for the world's best satellite company.
At Astronis, we've spent countless hours getting these 4 satellites ready for orbit. But first, we have to box them up, put them on a truck, and drive them 3,000 miles from California all the way to SpaceX in Florida. Our CTO says that the most dangerous place for a geosatellite to be is on Earth. So while it's still here, going on a truck across the country, we really have to be safe. If anything were to happen, geosatellites are fragile.
Last time we shipped, it was kind of casting off into the unknown. We didn't know what launch site ops were going to be. We'd never done that at Astronis. We didn't know what mission ops were going to be when we launched. So there were a lot of nerves. This time, it's really okay, we finished that step, now let's go.
Anytime you do something for the first time, it's scary and new, but now we've done it before. Like, we already did it. We successfully shipped one of these satellites across the country, and it's not that different to ship 4. I mean, we're using 2 trucks instead of 1. We have a bunch of other support equipment that we got to bring this time. We actually get a little bit of a nicer place to integrate them and a little bit less restrictions because it's our rocket.
But the emotions are different because with Arcturus, there was so much unknown. I'm so much more confident that we can go do this now.
So inside each of these trucks is millions of dollars of equipment. So we have to take this shipment extremely seriously.
We today are boxing up the satellites to take them from our headquarters in San Francisco, California, all the way to Cape Canaveral, Florida. We have 4 custom-designed shipping containers made just for these satellites.
These shipping containers are actually made specifically for us, to the point that we basically sent our interface diagram to them of what we needed and what our requirements are. They actually have their own spring suspension isolation systems that they've got inside each container.
And so it's not just up to the truck. We have these big giant springs that'll absorb any big bump that we see in the road.
During shipment, we're monitoring the vehicles with a few key parameters.
So those monitors tell us, did we see a big bump? Did we see a small bump? They even detect light, which we shouldn't expect to see any because it's a completely closed shipping container. They do temperature, humidity. We want to make sure they don't see any pressure differentials because we're not at the same elevation when we drive across the country. So when we get to Florida, we'll be able to know the exact environment the satellites saw.
We make sure that we are actively controlling everything as we are expecting to be able to do confidently, and checking that during and then checking that after arrival.
So the 4 satellites get loaded on 2 different trucks, and we'll truck them on the big American road trip to Florida.
So people a lot of times ask me, why don't we fly our satellites? The answer is pretty simple. It's pretty expensive to fly spacecraft no matter which airframe you use. If you're gonna use military aircraft, you have to get special permissions through the US Transcom, and that takes time and a lot of approvals. And then there's the logistics as a whole.
You still have to get a truck either way because we are not located at an airport. And so we would load them onto trucks, take them to whatever airfield, load them off the trucks and onto the plane, fly them, load them onto trucks again. And so it does minimize the amount of times we're picking the satellites up with a forklift.
So in our case, we elected to use over-the-road transportation, i.e. put them in 18-wheelers, right?
We get completely enclosed trucks. It's not just on the back of a flatbed. They're climate controlled, they're air ride suspension. And so the satellite should not see or feel as many bumps as you would if you were driving your car. Depends on your car, I guess.
Now, we didn't just pick any old 18-wheeler company, right? There are a lot of companies that are out there. This company that we went with is McCollister's. McCollister's has actually been moving space cargo over the road since the Apollo mission. They have a really cool photo of one of the Apollo capsules on one of their trucks and trailers in front of the White House.
So traditionally, geostationary satellites are these big behemoth monsters of machines that literally require custom 18-wheelers, and sometimes you have to take telephone poles out and move them out of the way so you can get the thing down the street. Our satellites are normally sized to a normal consumer electronics. They're the size of a large kitchen range. And so the world is built to transport things like that.
And so having that gives us so much more just self-determination and schedule flexibility that enables us to launch when we're ready.
And so we've actually been able to pull the launch date in, which is quite unusual. That's amazing that we have that control.
It's a huge milestone. I mean, this is us going from 1 to 4. Eventually, we're going to go from 4 to 24 per year, and that's going to take us to hundreds of satellites in the sky.
When I left the military, right, I left a little earlier than I was planning. It's a story for another time. But I didn't know if I was gonna get the opportunity to stay a part of something bigger than myself. Bringing internet to people that have never touched it, that don't have access to it, it's a human right in this day and age. And the ability for people just to have basic information, access to medical, access to financial, access to social media, for God's sakes, that is absolutely a part of something bigger than myself, and that will have a positive global impact, not just for this generation, but for many generations to come. And I'm beyond blessed and proud to be a part of that mission.
To see everybody out there watching the satellites loaded, it's a good time to reflect that, wow, we've got the team. We've got the team to go do this. And seeing them go out the door is they're like, okay, you know, we did all of our stamps of approval, everything's ready, we checked all the boxes, let's go.
And it's only the beginning.